There's some new stuff to talk about when it comes to Held It Loose. The developers have shared a lot of new information about the future of the game in the latest and final dev brief of the year. Additionally, a proper new roadmap will be released soon, but they have already given us quite a few things to work with. There are details about a new upcoming map, some fixes, a redesigned UI and tactical map, some new information about the British rework, as well as some other small changes. The weekend just started, it's horrendous weather outside, at least over here, so I made the video a little bit more calm and chill, so grab your cup of coffee or tea and let's go over this new information. If you'd like to stay up to date with new videos about Held It Loose, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The past year was quite a rollercoaster ride for Held It Loose, but personally I feel like it was a wake-up call for the developers and they seem to be on the right track. In the last updates, some much needed improvements were made to the British faction, some cool new maps and night versions of existing maps were introduced, and overall the team seems to be dedicated to keep updating Held It Loose with new game modes, different improvements, bug fixes and all kinds of other content. So what's coming in the future? One thing that has always bothered me in Held It Loose, as for example opposed to the game Squad, is the tactical map. It looks kind of basic and boring and it's clunky as hell. At some point in the past update they did do an attempt at improving the zooming in and out and repositioning of the map, but it's still not very intuitive. So I was happy to hear that the devs are working on a new tactical map for Held It Loose. And this new map will be part of a larger redesign of the UI that will not only make the game more intuitive for new and existing players, but also introduce a framework that will make further changes and improvements in the future easier. This is promising as it's a sign that the devs keep long-term support for the game in mind. Even though it's still a work in progress, a few screenshots of a concept of the new tactical map were shared. The idea behind the new design is that they want to make the user experience better by highlighting the most important information, reducing clutter around the player, and making it easier to understand what's the current state of the game. Especially as I normally play squad leader and I'm in the map screen half the time, this is an improvement that I've been waiting for and excited about. Improving this often used aspect of the game makes Held It Loose less frustrating and a more joyful experience to play. The next thing that the devs have mentioned are some details about the upcoming rework of the British faction, Part 2. There will be a new tank added, which is the Crusader Mark III. This tank saw its first use in 1942 during the Second Battle of El Alamein and was an improved version of the earlier Crusader tanks with a stronger cannon and a better engine. The Mark I and II actually had a 4 or 5 member crew, but the Mark III had only 3, so in that sense it would work a lot better for Held It Loose. Although blowing up a 5 crew member tank would be a rather exhilarating experience. The tank seems to have a short reload time of only 6 seconds, which makes it quite flexible, as it should be fun to use for tank players. But I'm not really playing armor that much, so other YouTubers like Fresh Baked Goods that do can probably say something more useful about that. Another addition for the British will be the Gammon Bomb. This British-made hand grenade was developed as a replacement for the dangerous-to-use sticky bomb and would be often used to kill parked vehicles and airplanes. What made this grenade very useful was that it could be adapted to the type of objective it was used for. When using it as an anti-personnel weapon, it could be thrown with a smaller explosive load and the rest of the grenade filled up with shrapnel. But when using it against vehicles, it could be filled with lots of explosive load to make it an unusually strong hand grenade. I would be curious to see how they will implement this, as it sounds quite fun to use. My bet is that it will become some sort of anti-tank grenade. Another exciting thing in the dev brief is the new map that has been confirmed. This new map will be called Mortain. This battle took place during a German counteroffensive called Operation Lüttich after the beach landings in Normandy. The beach landings took place in June 1944 and the battle in the new map took place in August 1944. Before the Allied forces would go on to other battles in Held It Loose maps such as Drill and Hurtgen Forest. And actually, if you're interested in learning a bit more about the actual history of the Held It Loose maps and where they fit in the historical timeline, I made a video about the Battle of Hurtgen Forest as well as about the Drill map, so definitely watch these 2 videos if that kind of stuff interests you. According to the devs, the Mortain map will feature a destroyed version of the town to give off a vibe that a large battle already took place. I think that's a good decision, as this kind of atmosphere is one of the strengths of the game. The map seems to have quite an interesting setup for gameplay. It has some height differences such as hills and cliffs, as well as urban areas for tense infantry combat. A new urban map has been asked for in the community for quite some time, At the moment, Carentan often comes out of the polls as the most popular map, and this one also has a good combination between urban and countryside environments. I expect the new map to be less urban, but it's centered around a town, and there are hills and cliffs with a chapel and stuff. Apparently the new devs built this map up from scratch with new optimization for vegetation, which should make the forest both more lush than other maps and also make it run better. The screenshots definitely look great, so I'm looking forward to playing this map. In terms of other stuff that the devs are working on, they noted that they're working on a new fire effects system, which makes it look nice, as well as improving its optimization. Especially that last aspect is something that's been a challenge for the game for quite some time. My own game doesn't run as well anymore, but I should perhaps try reinstalling the game, as other players reported that the game actually plays better these days. One of the most challenging issues within Hell Let Loose is getting new players to understand the game and play the game as intended. I was happy to read that the onboarding is also mentioned, and this is still an important focus of the developers. They're focusing on improving the field manual to get new players into the game more efficiently, and based on previous information, I also expect them to improve the practice range and maybe other tutorial options. The dev brief also covers some other small improvements. The rain effects in Purple Heart Lane will be fixed, and the puddles on wet roads will look better, which are also nice additions. Unfortunately, this map isn't played that much, which I understand because of the still-made death trap it often turns into. However, in terms of atmosphere, I think it's one of the best maps and it truly immerses you into the world. Finally, there are some new skins that will be introduced to the game, but this is also kind of a nice to have, because I'm the kind of guy that still walks around in his winter uniform in Saint-Marie-de-Monde after 30 minutes of people telling me to change it. So if that's your cup of tea, here are some screenshots. Anyway, this all looks good and I can't wait to play the new map and see the other improvements. What do you guys think? Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.